Think about the last person who really hurt you. Not a passing disappointment. The kind of hurt that found you at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations, wondering how you ended up here again. Now think about the person before them, and the one before that. Look at the pattern. Same story, different name, different face. The same pull towards someone who needed more than they could give. The same slow drain of your energy, your patience, your sense of self. The same moment, always the same moment, when you finally see clearly what was there from the beginning. And the question that comes after, the one you've been afraid to ask yourself honestly, why do I keep ending up here? You've told yourself different stories about why it keeps happening. Maybe you've said you're too trusting, too giving, too quick to see the best in people. Maybe you've blamed the other person entirely. They were manipulative. They were damaged. They hid who they really were until it was too late. And maybe some of that is true. But here is the thing nobody wants to say out loud. If it has happened more than once, the common denominator is not them. It's you. Not because you are broken, not because you are weak, not because something is fundamentally wrong with you, but because something inside you, something you have never fully looked at, is making a choice. Every single time. And it is making that choice for reasons you don't yet understand. The pull you feel towards certain people, that magnetic, inexplicable draw towards someone who is struggling, someone who needs saving, someone whose chaos feels strangely familiar. That pull is not random. That pull has a name, and Carl Jung spent his entire life trying to help people understand it. But here's what's more disturbing than the pattern itself. The part that took Jung decades to understand, and that most people spend their entire lives never confronting. You didn't fall into this pattern by accident. Something in you chose it, and until you understand why, it will keep choosing it for you. Carl Jung was born in 1875 in a small Swiss village, the son of a pastor who had lost his faith and a mother who moved between two very different personalities depending on the time of day. One version of his mother was warm, present, grounded. The other was strange, distant, almost otherworldly, emerging mostly at night, speaking things the child Jung couldn't fully understand. He grew up learning something that would define his entire life's work, that people contain more than one version of themselves, that beneath the person someone presents to the world, the composed, acceptable, socially functional version, lives another self, one that was never given permission to exist openly. Jung called this hidden self the shadow, not a metaphor for evil, not a concept for the dramatically traumatized, a description of something precise and universal. Every part of you that was rejected, suppressed, or deemed unacceptable by the people who raised you, every feeling you learned to hide, every desire you learned to deny, every aspect of yourself that made other people uncomfortable. That material didn't disappear. It went underground, and it has been running your life from there ever since. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. Jung discovered something about human attraction that most people are not prepared to hear. We are not drawn to people who complement us. We are drawn to people who complete us in ways we cannot complete ourselves. When you consistently attract people who are emotionally unavailable, chaotic, damaged, or broken, it is not because you have bad luck. It is because something in your shadow is recognizing something in theirs. Think about what draws you to a broken person. Maybe it is their intensity, the raw, unfiltered way they feel things that you have spent years learning to contain. Maybe it is their need, the way they require you, depend on you, make you feel essential in a way that nothing else does. Maybe it is their chaos, the way their disorder gives you a sense of purpose, a direction, a reason to pour yourself into something outside yourself. Jung called this shadow projection. You're not seeing the person clearly. You're seeing a screen and projecting onto them the parts of yourself you have never been allowed to fully express. The intensity you are drawn to in them is the intensity you suppressed in yourself. The need you want to fill in them is the need you have never allowed yourself to acknowledge in yourself. The chaos that feels so familiar is familiar because it mirrors something inside you that you have spent years trying to keep in order. There is a dimension of this that Jung identified which almost nobody discusses. He called it the golden shadow. Not all projection is darkness. Sometimes we are drawn to broken people not because of our wounds, but because of our unlived potential. When someone expresses a freedom you have suppressed, a rebellion you buried, a rawness you were taught to smooth over, a way of existing in the world that you abandoned because it felt too dangerous, you are drawn to them with an almost irrational pull. You call it chemistry. You call it connection. You call it finally meeting someone real. But what you are actually experiencing is the magnetic pull of your own unlived life, projected outward onto a person who is living, however destructively, the parts of yourself you gave up. You are not falling in love with them. You are falling in love with the version of yourself they represent. And when the relationship inevitably breaks down, when the chaos becomes unbearable, when the need becomes suffocating, when the rawness becomes destruction, you are left not just with the loss of the person, you are left with the loss of that projected self, which is why it hurts so much more than it should. There is one more layer to this. Jung identified what happens when we combine shadow projection with a specific wound from childhood, the wound of conditional love. If you grew up in an environment where love had to be earned, where being needed meant being valued, where your worth was measured by how much you could give or fix or carry, then being the rescuer in a relationship is not just a habit. It is the only love language your nervous system understands. You don't choose broken people despite their brokenness. You choose them because of it, because a broken person needs you. And being needed feels, in your nervous system, exactly like being loved. The rescuer trap is this. You pour yourself into fixing someone else so completely, so thoroughly, that you never have to look at what needs fixing in yourself. The other person's chaos is loud enough to drown out your own interior silence. Their problems are visible enough to give you a sense of purpose. Their need is urgent enough to justify never attending to your own. Jung was direct about this. We do not help others by carrying their burdens. We help others and ourselves only by doing our own work. Here is the truth that changes everything. The pattern does not break because you find a better person. The pattern breaks because you become a more conscious one. Jung's entire life work pointed toward one specific practice: bringing what is unconscious into the light of awareness. Not to eliminate the shadow, not to fix every wound before you are allowed to love again, but to see clearly, honestly, without flinching, what you are bringing into your relationships that you have never fully acknowledged. Ask yourself these questions, slowly, without rushing to comfortable answers. What do I find irresistibly attractive in other people that I have suppressed in myself? What need am I trying to fill through the people I choose? What does being needed give me that I am not giving myself? When a relationship ends, what part of myself do I grieve alongside the person? These are not comfortable questions. They are not designed to be. They are designed to do what Jung spent his entire career doing, turning the light on in the rooms you have kept dark. Because here is what changes when you do that work. You stop projecting your shadow onto other people. You stop needing someone else's chaos to feel alive. You stop confusing being needed with being loved, and you become, for the first time, genuinely available to someone who is also doing their own work. Not two broken people holding each other up, two conscious people choosing each other clearly. The people you have attracted were not mistakes. They were not bad luck. They were not evidence that you are unlovable or fundamentally broken. They were mirrors, showing you, with uncomfortable precision, the parts of yourself that were asking to be seen. Jung believed that the most important journey a human being can take is not outward into the world, but inward into the self. Not because the world doesn't matter, but because until you understand what you are carrying, what you are projecting, what you are running from, what you are unconsciously asking other people to complete in you, you will keep arriving at the same destination. Different person, same story. The pattern ends the moment you stop calling it fate and start calling it what it actually is. An invitation to finally turn toward yourself with the same intensity, the same patience, the same willingness to stay that you have been pouring into people who are never yours to fix. Think about the last person you were drawn to who turned out to be wrong for you. What did they express freely that you have never allowed yourself to express? Drop it in the comments. Just one thing. I read every single one. Next week, we go somewhere even more uncomfortable. We're going to talk about the part of you that other people can see clearly, but that you have spent your entire life refusing to acknowledge. If that sounds like something you're not ready for, you probably need it most. If you know someone stuck in this pattern, don't send them advice. Send them this video. It might be the thing that finally makes it make sense. If you're the kind of person who would rather face an uncomfortable truth than keep repeating the same story, you belong here.